All right, how's everybody doing? We got another episode of Who's On First with Robert Rivera. We have a special guest, Leland Wetzel, right?
There, yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about you and your company.
Yeah, so we're based out of Wichita Falls, Texas. Kind of long story short, I made my first bat in 2012 for my nephew for his first birthday, just as a gift. Really felt like the Lord was kind of tugging at my heart to continue in it, and so made a few more bats and kind of grew in popularity in North Texas. In 2016, I got involved with Joe Mauer and Chip and Joanna Gaines and some kind of bigger names, and became on a national and worldwide scale very quickly.
Mauer is the was the first baseman for the Minnesota
Yeah,
Twins, correct?
Twins. Yeah, he was their catcher for years, and then just due to injuries, they moved him to first base. But extremely good. I think he's in the top. I want to say he's in the top 120 best hitters of all time, and just solid guy, really good ball player. So it was really cool for him to be our first pro guy.
Do you have any pro guys after him, or
Yeah, so the MLB is kind of interesting. You have to be an approved bat supplier to work with the MLB. So we went through that process after Joe got interested, and I guess 2018 and 2019 we did the MLB. Our bats were in 10 different organizations, so kind of within the minor league systems and on the pro fields, and then we had about 7 or 8 guys that were swinging them on a regular basis.
so what did Mauer swing? What size?
Whenever we first started working with him, it was a 34, 32, pretty big chunk of lumber. And it's pretty cool. The thing that I liked about doing pro stuff is, every player is unique, and they swing a bat thousands and thousands of times a year, so they know exactly what they want. So on my end, the fun part is like just making sure the specs are exactly right, and giving them really good high quality bats. But yeah, 34, 32. It's got a really big barrel on it and pretty thick handle as well.
And the wood is what? Is it ash or?
Ash, yeah. Interesting enough, there's not many guys that swing ash. Maple became popular, or it kind of became the wood to use after Barry Bonds broke the record. He's kind of one of few that stuck with ash, and obviously hit really well with it.
So do you have any samples there?
Yeah, yeah. So this one's actually a pretty cool story. So that's the first. Well, I say that this is technically the second bat we ever made Joe. We made him a bat, and I wrote him a letter in the fall of 2016, and just saying, "Hey, would love for you to try our bats if you get a chance." And so in March of 2017, he reached out and said that he loved the bat and wanted to talk about getting some more for the season. So that's where this bat came in. Like I said, it's got a big old barrel on it, kind of a big, thick tapered knob. We took this down to him, down to the Rangers ballpark, and he hit with this during batting practice. So we weren't approved yet, but he hit with it during batting practice. And actually, my favorite part, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Yeah, you can see it right here. So that's the MLB logo from a baseball that he hit. He hit a few home runs and BP with it.
It got stamped on there,
Yeah, but
huh?
it's pretty
Okay.
neat.
So I mean, what are you looking to do with this company?
Whenever I first started it, it was kind of always the dream to make it a full time deal and really push it. And really behind everything that we do is just quality. So in every step of our process, even though our process probably takes a little more time than other bat companies, we just really focus on the quality of everything. I think businesses can grow fast, but businesses that stick are the ones that provide a high quality. And so we're kind of seeing that now, where it took us a handful of years to really get going. We have a lot of returning customers carried in Shills and JustBats.com, and eBay's loaded out in California, and we're kind of adding those retailers. And I think it's because people are just really seeing the quality and that we're matching up to other bat brands. But my goal really is just to continue increasing our sales, but in doing it in a way that quality never takes a step back. And a big part of that, honestly, is we're a Christian-based company, and so I want to do it well, and I want to represent the Lord well. And so,
Right.
for me, is having a high-quality product.
Okay. So if I want to order, let's say 10 baseball bats from you, I mean, what's the time frame on those?
We kind of have two avenues. I'm glad you brought that up. So one side is obviously the stock bat, like Shills bats and whatnot, and the other side that actually was what we did for the first few years heavily and we still do now, is custom bats. So say you want to order some custom bats, you could go to xylobats.com. So just XYLOBATS.com. And it's pretty user friendly. You go in there, you get to customize everything from the barrel to the handle. We have a few different colors in our logos and engravings. You do custom engraving. So if you wanted to put your name on a bat,
Hmm.
that as well. And then as far as the turnaround time goes, it's just 3 to 4 weeks, and we have it out. And honestly, like a week, like this week, we'd be able to get it out in 2 weeks. So it's pretty quick turnaround. The biggest thing that I would say right now is with Christmas. I know it's not Halloween yet, but with Christmas right around the corner, man, we get really busy. And our biggest goal is that we want to make sure all custom bats get to all of our customers before Christmas. So if anyone's listening that is interested, please, 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 get your order in fast. We want orders to be in as early as possible, so much that we're doing free shipping all through October.
Okay. Who do you use your shipping?
We either do UPS or the post office, USPS. It honestly it all depends on who's cheaper for what location. Just kind of saving a couple bucks there for our customers.
Okay. I'm a little bit of on the postal side, so. Uh,
Very cool. Maybe we have other conversations to have then.
hey, oh, always need help. Always need help. All right. So, I mean, now I know, and I noticed on the bottom of the bat you put a X and a V and the three ones
Yeah.
on there. Explain that to us.
Yeah, so here, let me show you. And this is actually a good example of what a custom bat would look like. Custom name. This was for a senior bat.
Okay.
Yeah. So what you're talking about right here is
That little knob, yeah.
it's a Roman numeral 16:3, which is Proverbs 16:3 from the Bible. It says, "Commit your work to the Lord, and He will establish your plans," which means take your work off your back and place it on the Lord. It's the last part of our process, actually, putting that stamp on there. So the reason we did that, exactly what just happened, is we wanted to make it just interesting enough where people would ask the question of what in the world does that mean? And so it kind of is a conversation starter, in that what it means is that you're trusting in the Lord no matter what happens.
Right. Well, so what was the moment that popped up that you were like, I'm going to put this at the end of the bat?
Man, and this is kind of I guess probably be more of a personal story, but when I started Xylo, honestly, I just had some selfish ambition of, man, this is going to make me wealthy. I want it all for me, just really, just me. And I feel like the Lord rocked me one day and said, "Listen, man, this, none of this is about you, for one thing." But I came across that verse and I thought, for me personally, it's such a good reminder that I just want to have an eternal mindset with this company. Where it started, I mean, and I didn't, I don't even know how to say it, but it's not like I was like making decisions on my selfishness, but I just could see myself being like, oh, I don't want to do this because, maybe this is gonna bring more money, and which obviously you have to think about in business too. But for us, we just want to make sure that God stays at our forefront.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, how many employees do you have over there?
We it's just two right now. Well, obviously with 2020, we kind of had to scale back a little bit, kind of rework some things around. But actually, you can see that. So this is where we make the bats. There's a room back there where we actually turn the bats out. But we're coming up on, I believe, 2,500 bats we've done this year already with just two employees. So the cool thing is you don't have to a ton of people to produce a lot of bats. But my hope is to add on probably three more guys by the end of next year. It would definitely be way more efficient if I could add on a few more guys.
All right. So now I know you also work with the special needs.
Yeah, so we work with the Miracle League, and they are a baseball league for people with special needs. I believe they have almost 200 leagues up and running around the nation, and then about 115 that are still in the process of getting up and running. So eventually there will be about 315, 320 leagues across the nation, and there's a couple in Mexico and I think one in Canada. But we're the official bat of the Miracle League, and man, that's my favorite thing to work with. So right now they do an all-star game every year, where they bring in like each league can kind of send a representative to play in this all star. They call it the All Star Weekend. As far as what we actually do, we're more on the fundraising side of things for them. So they have to. They're a nonprofit, so they're doing fundraisers all the time. So we typically figure out different programs that we can do with bats to help raise money for whatever they need. Anyone that has never been to a Miracle League game, highly encourage it. Is there one in? Do you know if there's one in your area?
I never heard of it, to be honest with you, and I would love to go to one. When I heard, I had the pleasure of umpiring a baseball game where they had a kid that was deaf, and it was
Oh yeah.
14, 15-year-olds, and they said, "Hey, Blue, he's deaf," and I said, "Okay." Well, he fouled off a couple balls, took a couple pitches, and at one point, I tapped him on the shoulder, 2-2, and he just looked at me like he's like, "I know," and I'm like.
Right.
I'm like, oh, okay, sorry. Well, next thing you know, he hits a shot. He winds up at second base. My partner had to run out to the outfield, so I had to cover the runner. So I'm standing at second base. I see the balls coming in. They call time. He looks me right in the face and goes, "Hey, Blue, double." And I'm like, oh man. I saw one league. They had a kid that was blind, and they pitched him a ball that beeped. And I was like, no way. Kids in wheelchairs playing the game, kids on crutches playing the game, with walkers playing the game. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. It's hard to see this in, let's say, other sports. It's very rare that you see some of these kids playing this and it's out there, but I think baseball is one of those where it doesn't matter how big you are, it doesn't matter how tall you are, it doesn't matter your weight. You can play the game if you really put into it. But yeah, it's amazing. I want to ask your expert opinion since you're Mr. Bat expert guy. I have a couple of designs myself, and I call mine. This is my rainbow bat with the night sky. This is the one I call the blowtorch. This one's fully torched, but this one's
Oh, that's
with a
cool.
design.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the handle the same
That's
thing.
sweet.
Man, this is hard to see. And then this one I just made. It's called the boomstick, and
That's sweet.
I was just gonna do the blue and the red and the white, and then my wife was like, "You should put a star on there." I'm like, "You know what? Yeah, I should put some stars on there." And it actually has the 13 stars for the soldiers that we just lost. So I
Oh yeah.
put 13
Oh
stars
man,
on there
that's cool.
for
That's
them,
awesome.
and I was just like, I'm like, huh. And that's my other logo, my Rivera Bat Company. So what do you think? Not bad. Pretty good job.
That's a good job right there. That's awesome.
Well, listen, hey, you started with one bat, right? Look where you're at,
That's
2,500 bats
exactly
now.
right.
And that's all it takes. That's all it takes. What else? What else? Any other projects? Any other leagues coming at you? Any other baseball players that you're looking at? Are you going international?
Every year until 2020, we were at least doubling what we were doing the year before, if not tripling, as far as bats go. In 2020, obviously, just like everyone else, just set us back. So this year has really been, I think I would say the good thing about 2020 was it allowed me to take a look at the business as a whole because I was so much into making bets. I just didn't have time to like take a step back and say, how's our process? Is it the best it can be? Everything like that. So 2021 has really been kind of that rebuilding year of saying, let's start back at point one and let's just build on that. So my biggest goal right now is just continue getting into retail stores. I've really enjoyed the relationship side of retail stores. So building relationships with those stores, just see what we can do for them. And it's been fun, the cool thing is 5 years ago, if you would have asked me, if one of my bats would have been in, which I don't know if you've ever been to a Shills, but they're these massive sporting goods stores, and I would have said no. but it is cool now to go in there and go to the baseball section and see Xylo bats sitting with Marucci and all these other companies. To me, it shows me that we're doing something right. My goal going into 2022 is just to continue adding on retail stores and building the brand, and then one day, probably in 2 or 3 years, I'll get back into the MLB. Once we're kind of established and really make a run at that because that's there's nothing more fun to send a bat out to a player on a Friday and then see it on TV, on a Tuesday, which is
I haven't. What kind of paint do you guys use?
we've tried about everything you can try. And a big thing that we like, which I don't know what I did with that. The thing that we love, which I don't know if you'll be able to see it on here, is we want the grain to show through, which is really honestly kind of hard whenever you start getting into actual colors. But we found a wood dye that's extremely thin. It's actually just mix it with water. But the reason we like that is because it gives each bat its own uniqueness whenever you can see the grain, because no grain is the same. So that order right there was 12 orange and black bats, but all 12 of them looked different because you could see the grain.
Okay.
Man, that was trial and error for years trying to figure out, what the best thing was. And yeah,
Where's the clear coat that you put on there?
it's a polyurethane, and we buy it from a guy here local that does gym floors. So it's an extremely durable polyurethane. Same thing that he would use for a gym floor. I like it because it has a really thick finish to it, and I also like the gloss of it too. But the con of it is that it does take days to dry.
So what's a price on a custom bat?
If you did what we call like a commemorative bat, which would be like this orange and black one, one that you probably aren't going to use, more of a wall hanger type bat. They run 110, and then our youth series bats 20, and then high school and up we have a pro series and an elite series. Pro series is 150, and the elite series is 219. And kind of we get asked the question a lot of like, well, what's the difference in the pro and the elite? We buy wood to the highest quality that they allow. But whenever it gets into our shop, we actually go through another testing process that's our trade secret that helps separate that. So the top 40% of the wood that we buy goes to the elite series. The bottom 60%, which all the wood that we buy could be MLB, like an MLB approved bat. We just take it a step further in our trade secret and are able to kind of break out the really, really, really good pieces of wood, and that's what goes to our elite series.
So I know there's a hardening process that
Yeah.
you've also come up with.
So we use a deer antler to harden the bats.
All right, so you take there's a deer out there missing an antler to harden the
Yeah.
bat.
Yeah, I wish he was in here working. I could just every bat company is going to have a hardening process. So we get a lot of times on social media, people will say that's a gimmick, that's not true, that doesn't work, but it does. And two reasons I know that. One, back in like the Babe Ruth days, they used to actually keep bone in the dugout, and they would what they call bone rub their bat before they would go.
Right.
But two, the first full size bat I ever made and used, man, I hit with it in the cage the first time, and that thing was dented up so bad. I mean, it was unreal. So that's kind of what made me start thinking, okay, there's got to obviously wood bats aren't supposed to do this, so what's the issue there? But yeah, so what it does is it compresses the outer fibers of the wood. Antlers obviously harder than wood, so it makes everything tighter, and so it creates a harder outer surface. The way we do it, it actually does two things. So one, just by pressure, it does that, but we also turn the lathe on, so the bat's on the lathe turning while we're running this down, down the barrel of the bat. And so it's hardening by pressure, but it's also hardening by heating up the wood. But yeah, so we use deer antler. I'll never forget a guy called that bought a bat. He was from Minnesota. He was like, "Let me get this straight. So you make wood bats in Texas in a barn on a ranch, and you use a deer antler to harden your bats." And I was like, "Yeah." When you say it like that, yeah, it sounds very Texan of me to do that. But yeah, and honestly, the reason I started using deer antler in the first place was after I did that first bat and hit with it, I just knew I needed to do something. There were some deer shed. We live out in the country, and my brother-in-law, who is kind of or is within this company as well, he had some deer shed in the shed that I was making the bats in. So I was like, oh, I wonder if that'll work, and it works great. And we've used the same deer antler. Like I've never used another deer antler, and we're about 8,000 bats.
Oh, all right, so we're not killing deers to get antlers to harden bats.
Yeah.
So everybody, no animals are harmed, okay, to make this bat.
That's
One
right.
died of natural causes. We found the antler
Yep.
and he decided to use it, okay? So he doesn't go and kill deer to
That's
harden a
right.
bat. All right. So
That's
what's the biggest bat you ever made?
The most of my so billets come in 30. You know, they come in 37 inches. Like Joe ordered some that were 34 inches, but they were 38 ounces. So he ordered some weighted bats. Which was really cool to make. And then there's a kid that was in high school at the time. He's huge. He's a really, really good hitter. He's in college now, but he ordered a 35 inch. I think it was a 33 ounce. But as a senior in high school, that's what Aaron Judge swings, I believe. And this high school senior was swinging the same thing. And just, I mean, actually, the reason he reached out to me is because he couldn't find another bat company that made a 35-inch bat. He's like, "Will you make me one?" I said, "Oh, dude, yeah."
The biggest bat I ever saw was in Cooperstown, the one they have on that roof there. It's
Oh
just
yeah.
it looks like a piece of lumber, like a tree, got taken down. But the biggest one I've ever heard being made, what they call it the Babe Ruth, which was about 55 inches long. And the thing, it weighed a ton. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, what is this bat for? Like, who hits with this thing? And the guy said it was for a wedding. And what they did was they made the bat, they sent it to the couple, and at the reception, people would autograph it. Then they sent it back to the Cooperstown Bat Company, and then they put etched their name on it, and they had it polyurethane.
Okay.
That was interesting. I have a bat with my wedding on it, and I thought I was coming up with some novel idea 20 years ago. I said I want a wedding bat. I don't know if you can do this, and the guy pulls out a book and says, "Just pick a pattern and put the names in, and we'll figure it out." And I'm like, "Huh?" And they had a whole book. It was like 10 or 15 patterns you could pick from, and we did it. And then all my groomsmen, I got the Roger Hornsby finish, which was black and the brown handle, and then all my groomsmen got the brown with my wedding. And then as we were coming into the wedding reception, all my groomsmen stood up like a sword type of deal. We had to come underneath. It was actually really, really cool. And it's funny because everybody always talks about my wedding. They're like, "Hey man, you gave out bats to your groomsmen." I'm like, "Yeah, it was pretty cool." And I have it over my TV. You never know. Be prepared. So what's the smallest bat you ever had?
Oh man, smallest. So we do make these little 17-inch, what we call mini bats. I wish I had. We do a lot of baby gifts actually, with the baby's name, their weight, size, and everything like that. Kind of that commemorative type bat. Some guys have used them as like a one-handed trainer. But yeah, mainly just gifts.
So I mean, is there any bat that comes to mind that you're like, wow, I can't believe we're making this bat, or we're doing this for somebody, or something really wacky that somebody ever asked for?
Oh man, some of the coolest bets that I think we did. So we did 5 neon colors. I don't know if you've ever heard of Dude Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, so YouTube sensations. They're down here 2 hours south of us. Really, really great guys. I met the twins, Kobe and Corey, down in Waco one time, and we just stayed in touch and became friends. Me and Kobe did, but I made them 5 bats, and we did all like super cool, vibrant neon colors, and put their logo on the barrel just as gifts for them. And those are, to this day, those are still one of my, some of my favorite bats that we've done, or cool dudes.
Dude, perfect. Yeah, I seen some of those shots that they've done, and I got my bachelor pad, and my wife was like, she closed the door when we were boyfriend and girlfriend at the time, and she comes in and she's like, "Why do you have a basketball net behind your door?" And I'm like, "I play basketball sometimes." She's like, "Where?" I was like, "Well, when I'm in the bathroom." "Are you kidding me?" "No, I got some pretty good trick shots." "What?" So I sat on the toilet with my pants on. The basket, it was right in front of me. I'm facing this way. And I throw it off the top of the wall there, and it hit the shower, bounced into the shower, bounces up, and poof, goes right in. You got to be kidding me. I was like, that's a hell of a trick shot. He was like, what are you doing? So there you go. It's a little shout out to Dude Perfect. It took me a while to get it, but I got that bad boy down. So now you work with the disabled kids and the what are these when they see these bats? What's the look on their face? Do you get any of those kids who are like, wow, my personal bat?
So whenever we did the All Star Weekend in 2019, we went to it, and they have a big kind of like a dinner banquet the last night. And that year, they got every kid a mini bat that was custom to them. So their name on it. And for me, like I make mini bats all the time. So it not to say that it was just another mini bat, but we just run them through and everything like that. But I whenever they got those bats, I mean, I've never seen anyone more excited about getting a bat, and it was literally because their name was on it. And just like you said, that brought so much joy to me just to see their smile. And a year later, I was still having parents text me and email me saying, "My kid literally takes this bat everywhere with him. He doesn't put it down." We did some youth size bats for a league, but now on social media, almost every kid is using their wood bat in a game, which makes them feel like a pro. And there's kids hitting home runs with the wood bat. So I mean, there's nothing better than seeing that.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. I went to pro umpire school, so
Mhm.
when I came back from that, it was a whole different experience than going to little league school. And
Yeah.
one day I had a buddy of mine, and he said, "Hey, listen, can you umpire a 12-year-old game for me?" Yeah, sure. So now I'm going there, shiny shoes, gray pants, like major league style, straight up. And I walked in, and the catcher comes out, 11-year-old kid, and he's just staring at me. And he goes, "Are you the umpire?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm the umpire." "Do you umpire in the major leagues?" "No." He goes, "Yeah, you do. You don't want to tell me." And he turned around and just got in front of me and started catching. And then at the end of the game, he's like, "Bye, see you on TV." And I'm like, I made that kid feel like he was a major leaguer. So I mean, you're married.
Yeah, we got two kids. One just started kindergarten, and our little boy, he's 1.5. So we have a little girl that's in kindergarten. And they love. So we call where we make the bats. We call it the Bat Barn, and it's actually right over the hill from our house. So almost daily, I get little visitors over here that want to help all the time. And so I got my little daughter's artwork all around this place. But man, it's fun, and they love it. They tell people all the time, "My daddy makes baseball bats."
My son was telling everybody that I worked at the post office. I was a mailman and I worked at the post office. I think maybe he's like 4 at the time or 5. And he tells my dad, he goes, "Daddy works at the post office. He's a mailman." And my dad goes, "Yeah, I know." He goes, "Grandpa worked at the post office too." He goes, "Yeah, Daddy told me." He said, "Well, did Daddy tell you what you did?" He said, "Daddy said you lick stamps." My father, oh boy, did he. He said, "What's wrong with you? Why would you tell?" I said, "I didn't want to tell him you were a mail handler." I was like, "Figure no big deal. What does Grandpa do?" "Yeah, he licks stamps." It was a funny moment. I didn't figure a year later he would repeat it to my dad.
Right?
But yeah, we got to talk about your shipping there,
Oh
Mr.
yeah,
UPS there.
I know, I know.
Actually, the brown guys don't bother me. You want to know why? Because they back up to my dock every day and drop off all the. "We can't deliver all this. Could you do it?" "Yeah, yeah, no problem. Just leave right there. We'll take care of it."
All of my custom orders go through the post office.
Oh, really?
Oh
Oh, there
yeah.
you go. There you go. That's one. That's one for us.
Mm.
All right. Well, listen. Thank you. I appreciate you being on, and
Yeah.
keep doing what you're doing. And with God bless. I hope you next year we go with 4,000 bats, 5,000 bats. What are you thinking?
Oh yeah. Yep. 5,000's the goal.
So where can I reach you to get a bat if I want to get a bat?
Yeah, so the best place is just at our website, which is xylobats.com, xylobats.com.
Okay.
Order straight through there, but there's also my emails on there, phone numbers on there if you need to reach out. One thing that we started doing that's not on our site yet is if you wanted to do a custom logo on your bat, that would be something that you would have to reach out to me via email. It's a little less confusing that way than sending it through the website and everything like that. Yeah. So if you wanted one, I would have you send me the logo, and then I would be able to tell you like, okay, yeah, we could definitely do this. Always happy to make custom bats.
You got,
Yeah.
and I saw on the website you got the shirts and you got the hats out there also. So if anybody's interested, you get a shirt and hat. Maybe you'll send me a hat there. I got the.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad you're coming out with new products. This is one of the things that I started in the show is just get products out there, get people to notice. I'm gonna get what's the guy from Force 3? I don't know if you
Oh
know
yeah.
about, yeah, Jason Klein. Well, now I've been talking to him for years. When he first started with that idea, he had mentioned it to me, and after that, he was like, "Listen, I got to keep it, quiet." You never know. I'm probably that Midas touch. Anyway, all right, man. It was nice talking to you. Thanks for being on, and I hope you get a lot of orders. And we'll keep when this goes on. I'll let you know. All right. Well, thank you. All right.
Thank you.
And remember, everybody, keep on swinging because every swing will get you closer to that next home run. Subscribe, like, hit that bell, and don't forget, go to Xylo, get yourself a bat. All right. Thank you.
If you like the show, please do me a favor. Subscribe. Right. You see it? It's right there. Subscribe, share, like, and don't forget, put that bell on. It'll ding you when I put something else on, all right?